Hello YouTube. I hope everyone is fit and well and life is treating you good. And thank you very much for joining me on today's video, where we're going to take a closer look at the Durston X-mid 2 Pro. A tent which has been key to me getting my full summer pack weight down to 2.75 kilos. And yes, you heard that right, full pack weight. First things first, we're going to get it set up. You'll see in many videos on YouTube and online that putting up the Durston X-mid 2 Pro is easy, or certainly people make it look that way. But there's a key factor to that, and that is making sure you've got enough space, because it's got quite a large footprint, and having flat level ground. If you haven't got flat level ground, then that throws the geometry of the tent off. So let's get it set up. As you can see, I've got a nice flat large level bit of ground. Absolutely perfect for this tent. Now this version has the sill nylon floor and comes in at a measly 565 grams. But if you buy it with the Dyneema floor, it comes in at 509 grams, which is extremely impressive for a two-man tent, and it is a true two-man tent. As you've seen there, all I've done is lay it out flat and peg the four corners out fairly loosely. You see there, I haven't got it overly tight at all, it's still quite loose, and there's a reason for that. But before we go any further, the pegs that come with the X-mid 2 Pro are V-pegs, nice and light, but my issue with them is the dents that grab hold of the guylines to grab hold of it and stop it from slipping any further than that are kind of the wrong way. You have to have them this way around to stop it slipping, but then that means the V can pull through the ground. If they were turned the other way around, it would give it more resistance. At this point in the setup, we need to put the two poles in, and technically, if the weather's very calm, you can actually have it set up just like that. Simply unzip one door, insert the pole into the place where the top of it sits. I'll show you in a minute, but there is a little rubber elastic band for the bottom of the pole to go in, and extend your pole up. As you do this, you'll see the inside of the tent tension, and once it looks about right, you can tighten your pole back up and zip the door down. Repeat on the other side. As you can see, it's still fairly loose, so what I'm going to do is go around the four corner points and just tighten up those guys. And as I do that, you'll see the tent transform into a much better shape, much tighter. And there you go, four corner pegs in and the guy lines tied out. You can see it's already very sturdy indeed. And like I say, if it's not windy at all, you can actually just leave the tent set up like this. But I will get it out properly. The next area that I like to peg out is the guy lines coming off the top of your walking poles. As with all tents, with your guy lines, you want to make sure the tab is pulling straight and even. I use the bigger V pegs for the four corners, and you get the slightly slimmer, shorter V pegs for your guy lines. Two for the corner guys, and I like to use the other two just on the tie out point by the zip. As you can see, we do have a stiff breeze today, and that tent is already very sturdy. And that is all the pegs that come with the Durston when you buy it. However, we still have some more points to guy out. We've got a guy line coming off this door and a tie out point here, to which I've added some bungee cord, another tie out At the head end, again, I've added bungee cord to that, a guy line and a tie out point on the opposite side, and another one at the foot end. So you will need some extra pegs. And for that, we're going to use my peg of choice, the Eastern. On these door guys, you don't want to put too much force. If you do, you'll see it pulls the tent. You want just enough tension to give it some support. And you can see already on this side, that transforms the shape, just makes it look nice and taut and neat. We're going to open the vents. I'll give you a closer look at them in a second. And you've got one of those either side. So that's it, fully set up, and you can see there, that's nice and sturdy. Just give you a nice walk around. You can see all the panels are straight, nothing's deformed. Lovely straight lines on the panels and the guy lines. The material that this tent is made of is hot bonded Dyneema at 0.5 millimeters. And it's pre-shrunk, so it lessens the deformity over time. The zips are YKK AquaGuard, one direction. Opens from bottom to top and closes top to bottom. And this Dyneema has a 15,000 millimeter hydrostatic head, which means it's extremely waterproof. And even though it's a trekking pole tent, it is classed as stormworthy. And I have proved that. I have been out in a thunderstorm with this tent where there was rain, thunder, lightning, high winds. And for a trekking pole tent, it was absolutely unbelievable in those conditions. On the side that you're going to be entering and exiting from, you want to unhook the elastic from that tie out point, then simply unzip your door and roll it up nice and tight. And a great feature on this tent is the magnetic door holder. So you simply clip it on. It's as easy as that. Just coming into this tent, you can see how spacious it is. A true two-man tent, loads of room inside, and the vestibules either side are absolutely huge. You'll also note that the trekking poles don't get in the way when you're exiting and entering the tent. Closer look at the vents, tiny little poles in a Dyneema sleeve, keep that weight down. You can see, even though I've got it on relatively flat ground, the tent has pulled ever so slightly. You can see a little bit of misshapenness at the bottom there. Once you get in and move your stuff around, that will kind of square itself up. You can see there just a little loop of plastic that you put your poles through. And my preference is, out in the field, I like to take these snow boots off the walking poles, just so you don't risk damaging that floor. This floor is 15D sealed poly with a hydrostatic head of 3,500 millimeters. When it's set up like this, you can see you've got plenty of clearance from the ground to the bottom of the tent wall, which is perfect to stop the condensation inside your tent. However, when it's windy, that means the wind can get underneath and really give your tent some grief. So what you can do when setting up is tighten your guys right up and peg it out extremely tight, as opposed to being loose like I did when I set this up. And then when you put your tent poles in, that'll ensure that this part of the tent stays right on the ground, which hunkers it down and means the wind can't get underneath. You will lose a bit of shape doing that inside the tent. This bit will be flatter to the ground, and you will lose a little bit of head height. The reason I went for the sill poly floor, even though it's slightly heavier, I believe it's ever so slightly more durable than having the Dyneema floor. Dyneema is very susceptible to being punctured. Durston do, however, say that they've treated the Dyneema floor to make it more resistant to that, but I still prefer to go for the sill poly option on the floor. You can see just how thin this Dyneema is. It's almost transparent. And although that is the tent's strongest feature, being able to make it from that material keeps the weight right down fantastically low. However, it is also its worst weakness. I've been using this tent for 6 months now and it's been nothing short of fantastic. but I'm always very careful with my tent and any of my equipment. I'm a fold and roll guy. I believe that takes a lot of the stress off folding it in regular patterns so you don't get any creases. This Dyneema is susceptible to that, and over time, if you don't look after this piece of kit, you're not going to get very long out of it. And even if you do take really good care of it, you're probably only going to get about 3 years use out of it before it starts to fade. Now, bearing in mind I'm a fairly big chap, 6'3". Let's get in and see how much space this tent offers inside. You've got an L-shaped double zip inside. I would have preferred that to have been one that zipped all the way around as opposed to two. And once again, to hold that inner door up, you've got that magnetic clip. So roll it up, clip it on, and that's your door out the way. And if you roll your outer door this way, if the rain's coming straight down, it'll come off the top into this and be directed down the outside of your tent. Before we have a look at the space inside the tent, I want to point another thing out to you. Where the top of your walking poles go is reinforced, and it's reinforced extremely well, but that is right next to the mesh on the inside of the tent, and I tend to find that the walking poles want to migrate towards the inside of the tent. So over time, I'm expecting a little bit of wear on this mesh here, and possibly for future models, I would like to see this area reinforced with something harder to stop them poles coming inside the tent. You've got one pocket at the foot end and one pocket at the head end, and that gives you plenty of room to store your phone, your wallet, and all your valuables. Now, I will give you the dimensions of the tent, but I'm a little bit more practical, so I will show you as well. 1.17 meters from the floor to the highest point, 1.17 meters wide, and 2.3 meters long, which is perfect for a tall chap like myself. Each vestibule is 11.6 square feet of space, which is absolutely astonishing. And I have to say, when I've been using this out in the field, I've got more than enough room in my vestibules to keep my rucksack, my boots and everything, and still have room to spare. I'm going to put my feet right at the very bottom of the tent, and we're going to lie down. That's my arm fully stretched above my head. I've got loads of room, and if I scoot right up against one side of the tent, I can put my arm out more or less straight. That shows you how wide it is. Sat up on my bottom, I've got room above that highest point, and if I get up onto my heels, I've still got a little bit of clearance above my head. So this tent gives me plenty of room. I can even get up on my knees, and I'm only just slightly bent over. So this tent is extremely light, it's extremely spacious, and for a trekking pole tent, it is unbelievable in windy weather. Like I say, they say it's stormproof on the website, and I have proved that. And it'll put a lot of normal tents to shame in that regard. It's a single skin tent, so there's no inner that hangs down. On the foot end and either side, same at the top end, you've got no mesh. You're straight onto the outer material. The mesh is only on either side, and a small amount at the foot end and the head end, which keeps those nasty bugs out. Now, this tent isn't cheap. To get it into the country was circa the £800 mark. That was including postage and international fees. But what I will say, the service from Durston is absolutely unreal, second to none, unparalleled. I bought this in a week that had 2 bank holidays. I think it was £15 for postage, and it arrived within 5 days, all the way from Canada, which is unheard of before. I've never had a tent come from as far so quickly. You can see we're getting some very strong gusts outside, and the tent is only just and so moving. What I will note is when I was out in that storm, I did get a little bit of slippage on the guylines. The wind was over 50 miles an hour. So I can take a little bit of slippage. There was also some movement from the pegs. As I mentioned, those V pegs, to catch the guy lines, you have to have them the wrong way. It makes them like a knife through the ground. If they were the other way around, the V would be pushing and giving resistance against that ground as opposed to cutting through. even with the large price tag, I am very, very happy with this tent. This is going to be my late spring, summer and autumn tent. I've probably only got a few more uses of this year before I put it away and get out my 4-season bomb shelter. But for getting your pack weight down to ridiculously low kilos, this tent is the one for me, for sure. Once you've got the hang of setting this tent up, you can get it up pretty quickly. But when you're taking this tent down, you can do it extremely quickly. Let's see how quickly I can do it. 3, 2, 1, go. Take all your external pegging points out, apart from the 4 corners. Then out comes your poles. You can see there, once the pole's out of the way, just how strong the wind is today. I like to throw all my guylines to the inside. The wind has shifted. I had set it up, it was going that way, it's now coming towards me. So I'm going to take these 2 pegs out. And all I'm going to do is fold and roll into the wind. Once you get that first bit under, it should become a lot easier. Oh, I've missed a peg. There we go. Fold and roll. Last couple of pegs out. 1, 2, fold her in half, roll it up, open your stuff sack, just being careful with those 2 supports that you've got where your ventilation is. You don't want to squash them too much. In the bag. Done, and I'll put the time on the screen. So there we have it, guys. That's my setup review and opinions on the Durston X-mid 2 Pro. Once again, a fantastic tent that's enabled me to get my full summer pack weight down to a measly 2.75 kilos. It's light, easy to put up once you've got used to it, very, very easy and quick to take down, and it can handle some extremely bad weather. I hope you've enjoyed the video and found it useful. If you've got any questions about this tent, please pop them in the comments section and I'll do my very best to answer them for you. Time for me to get myself away home. So until next time, stay safe, much love from a Cumbrian lad.